Hey, hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to learn about Terraform functions. We are going to cover a few functions. We cannot cover all of the functions right in the same video. We're going to cover a few of the functions here, and we are also going to cover dynamic expressions, right? So let us start write coding. So for the functions which we are going to do about the basic functions, right, we would be using Terraform console. So if I do like Terraform console, right, this is the Terraform console where I would be using some functions, right. Say for example, I'm going to use a minimum function. So if I say min of say a few numbers like 12, 34, 46, right. So the minimum of this number is 12, right. So I'll return the value 12. If I do the same thing with a max, like who is the maximum of this, right, it gives me the value of 46, right. Now on a min max version we can see the values. Now say example, if we want to trim out some spaces, or trim out some characters which are being there in the output probably. So let's say I'm going to use a trim function, and on the trim function, right, I have this say arrow, okay, and then I have this and I have say hello world. Let's say hello, simple, relatively simple, okay. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to negate those greater than sign and this bar, right, so that I don't want this actually, okay. So let me put that in the double quotes. See, I can trim down the extra characters which are being here used. So I have to use that part which I'm going to negate out, right. Now similarly, say I am having a upper function which say I am having a value called hello YouTubers, right. It will give me all capital. And if I use a lower function of the same value, let's say, let me copy that same, yeah, hello YouTuber. So these are the basic functions. Now in the same statement, right, say example, if I say length, there's a function called length, and if I say hello, right, so it should be giving same value of 5, HELLO, right, 5, right. Similarly, if I have say an array, okay, or I will say a list of value A and the value of B, right, it will give me the value of this. Now length can give value for both string, sets, list, maps, anything, right. Say for example, if I'm going to use say a map, for example, okay, so a map value of A equals to say something V, and B equals to say B, right. And if I put see there are two lengths actually, because there are two keys, one is A, another is B. So length can be used across multiple places, okay. Now in the next example we're going to see about contained function. So say example contains, now I have a what you call as a list, right. It's a list called A, B, C, and let us put D, okay. And on this list I want to see whether I have A. So this returns a boolean value. So if it has, it will return true. If it does not have, it will return false. So let me say type F. So F is not in this list, right, so it should return false. Great. Now on the same note, this says that contains, okay. Now and the trim, continuing the trim thing, right, I have some few thing on the trim also. There is a concept called trim prefix and suffix, okay. So say I have a value called hello world, okay, and I want to trim the word called hello. So that means it returns me the value called world, right. Similarly, if I use a trim suffix, right, and now suffix is not the hello world, it's a suffix is world actually, right. So that gives the return the value of hello. right? Now if on the same note, if I will say like, okay, I have given some extra spaces, right? Then I want to make it sure that the extra space is not there, right? So what should I do? There is a function called trim space. See, it trim down the output value and give me that thing which I'm looking for, right? Now the same notation, right? We have function called join and split. So say example, if I use join basically it joins the lists actually into a string. So example, I am having comma operator. I mean the comma is the separator basically, and I have a value called say DevOps, and then I have something called CI/CD, and then I have a thing called Git, right? So I have three values in the list, right? And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to join this with the help of the comma operator, correct? So if I do this, you can see that this list is becoming a string now, okay? So similarly, if I take this like split, okay? So if I split this using comma and I take this entire list, okay? Now I have to take this in a list, but I should be having no comma in between. I mean no quotation in between. So I will say CI/CD, then Git, okay? Now see, it converts into a list. Earlier it was a string, now it converts into a list, okay? So that's a function of the split. Now there are a few more functions also left before we start the dynamic expressions. So there is a function called concatenation. So concat, okay? So concat, what it does, it joins two lists basically. So say example, I have a list called YouTubers and I have a list called say Google, right? This is one of the list. Another list I have say, again I will take the DevOps and Git, right? 6 for example. These are the two lists. If I'm concatenating, it will concatenate both of them into a single list, right? Now say example, we want to remove the duplicates, right? So there is a function called distinct, okay? So if I say distinct and say I have a list, right? And here the list is having the same YouTubers and then Google and then say DevOps, right? Now I have put say Google extra somehow, right? So if I do this, you can see that Google has been removed, which has been used twice, right? And make it kind of a unique. So distinct functions helps for that. Now there is one more function called lookup. Lookup function is majorly used for maps, okay? So how it is used, say example, I have a value, okay, in a map, say key is A and the value is AY, and again the B is there, key, and the value of the key is say B, right? Now the condition here is if out of this keys, right, I want to search for A key. If the key is found, right, then it should say great. And if say it's not found, right, say example, I will say not found, right? I will say 404, something like that, okay? So now if I see, okay, I can found see A is there. Now if I say that I was using a key called F, key is not present, so it says not found 404. Or we can use something like this also. Say I have a map where I have a value called API key, okay, and I have a key called something, okay, and I have another key called app key, right, and it has a value also of something, okay. Now this is the map which I'm expecting, okay. Now if this map does not have the value called API key, assume the output of the value does not have the API key, then If it is not there, then set the default value of the API key. Okay, so for example, I want to copy this and I want to paste something extra character just to make sure it is distinguishable, right? So as of now, we can see that API key, if the key is present, so it should print me 1, 2, 3, right? Yeah. Assume that API key is not there, right? Say I have to remove this key. For example, let me remove this key. This key itself is not present in the map, right? So the default API key value should be this. See, if I'm querying the API key, the value is coming as this. So this is a lookup function actually. Now similarly, there is a base 64 encode function. For example, I'm going to use hello world, right? It gives me a value. If I take the entire value and decode that, what is that gives actually base 64 decode, and if I print it, it says hello world, right? So that's about this. Now let us go about the dynamic expression, right, which will be covered in a editor. So I have created 3 files: provider.tf, variables.tf and main.tf, right? Let us first try to understand what is the logic we are going to implement. So I have this main.tf, right? So what this script is going to do is, it is going to check over a boolean value. Say if the value is true, right, then do something, or whatever is in the else block, execute it. It's like a conditional value, right? Great. So let us create some variables, So let me say a variable called, say, output value, right? Let me use a type as boolean, as we are going to loop over the boolean value, right? And let the value is, for example, true. Now we're going to change that value and see how it looks like. Let us understand the logic behind this dynamic expression. So this loops over a conditional value. Say example, if the value is true, then do something, or else the value is false, let us execute the else block, right? Now for this example, I have taken a random, I'm going to implement a random operator, right? Random provider basically. So let me just take the required provider section and I'm going to use random, right? And the source would be HashiCorp random, okay? And I'm going to create one more variable which is called, say, random output, okay? And the value of this random output, right, what I'm going to put is, this is random, okay? And now the thing I'm going to use here is I want to generate the random value, right? And which is of byte length of 8. Once I did this, right, I will be saying, say, printout as the output, and here I am going to check the conditional statement. So if the var of the value of the output is true, right, then print hello YouTubers, okay? But if the value is false, what I'm going to use is I'm going to put that random output, okay? And so that it can be understandable that this is the value which I'm not looking for. This is a random value. I'm going to use a hex as the ID of the random or ID output, okay? I'm going to close this. Great. So that makes my things ready. So what I will do is, first I will make a Terraform init. So I will initialize this, then I will make a Terraform plan. Okay, you can see the printout is hello YouTubers, and then I will make a Terraform apply with auto approve, and you can see it is getting printed out hello YouTubers. Why? The reason, because we have the value true in the output value, and it is checking that value, that if the value is true, then print this, right, or else print that. So let us test the second block also by making the value as false. So if you make the value as false, then it should print something different, and this is the random, this is random, right? See, This is the value it is getting printed, and var.random output is like this. This is random, which is getting printed, and it is giving this value, right? So this is how we are going to check the conditional statement. We have taken the output variable. It can be used across many places, like you can use in on, say, on AWS resources, on Azure resources, on multiple resources. This can be useful, right? I hope this video is informative. Thank you for watching.